My name is Chris Ryder. I'm a home inspector. I work for ACE Preferred Inspections here in Charleston, South Carolina. My background is I'm formerly trained as an architect. I've been doing that for about 20 years, and I specialize in residential construction. And I've been doing home inspections for about 5.
So Chris, you just inspected a home that was built in 1976. What are some of the key things that you would look for as an inspector in an older home for a potential buyer?
Typically, older homes in Charleston, most in Charleston, I guess it depends on the region, but in Charleston, a lot of your older homes are built on a crawl space, and there's still newer houses built on crawl spaces too. But in Charleston, everything's flat, nothing drains well, that's just the area. So typically, most older homes in Charleston have moisture problems in the crawl space. That's something you always need to be sensitive to, because moisture in any home can degrade the structure pretty rapidly. So that's what I'm always sensitive to, having a good crawl space, because that leads to the health of the rest of the home. Now, as far as water, intrusion, moisture, ductwork under the house, those all lead to moisture concerns, which affect the structure, and obviously the structure being one of the most important issues in an older home. No one wants to be hit with a surprise after the fact.
What about plumbing and electrical? Is that a concern in an older home?
It can be. You always like to see electrical updated. Sometimes that's the case, sometimes it's not. But even going back to the 1970s, safety upgrades for electrical are actually pretty easy and non-invasive. So electrical, while I think a lot of people are afraid of older wiring, if it was done correctly to begin with and it hasn't been messed with 1,000 times, typically it's not quite easy to upgrade as far as GFCIs, proper bonding and things of that nature. Plumbing wise, older plumbing for the most part is pretty good. It's because it's all copper. Copper, they say the average life was between 50 and 100 years as far as its usable life. So as long as it's done right, it's not leaking, it's a good material. Now you move fast forward to the 80s, and they started using some polybutylene, which is a plastic piping. It got a bad name because it had a lot of leaks with some plastic fittings that they used to use. Then they changed over to some copper fittings, and that material is a lot better. We still tell clients about its presence, even with the copper fittings, because insurance companies can charge higher rates or deny you coverage just because of its presence. But those would be kind of the larger items as far as electrical and plumbing, and obviously systems updates. No system is going to be original to the house. It's always nice to see updated water heater, appliances. That's more cosmetic and user-friendly stuff. But systems as far as water heater, heating and air conditioning are going to be probably one of your biggest replacement costs. So if you've got a new heating and air conditioning system, that's what you're looking for. And also roof. HVAC and roof typically are going to be your biggest cost items that come up as far as a homeowner is concerned, barring anything major structural. So the newer those are, the better. And if you can kind of keep your pulse on what the systems are in the house as far as age, you'll be better off set up.
Would you say that clients should shy away from buying an older home, or do you feel like they can get a good quality home even if it was built in the 50s, 60s, and 70s?
No, I wouldn't shy away at all. Again, it's just one of these things where condition is everything. Just like it is in a new, I did a house built in 2011 I inspected yesterday. It had all sorts of structural issues. So age doesn't necessarily define the house. Two main characteristics do in my head is one, the initial build quality. Was it done right to begin with? And I hate to denigrate anybody, but building a house is not rocket science. It's pretty straightforward for people to know what they're doing. And if it was done right to begin with, it sets itself up for success down the line. And in addition to that, my other thing I look for is upkeep. How do the owners upkeep this house? Because maintaining the condition of the house is just as important as how it was built. Because if you let it, deferred maintenance, age, time, weather, everything else will destroy a house over time. If you don't keep up on it, well, it's just going to affect the house down the line. But as far as condition, that's basically it, is what you're looking at.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and your expertise today.
My pleasure.